Who'd have thought that financing burritos and DoorDash orders wouldn't be the next greatest financial innovation? Because apparently Klarna is not looking so good after their recent reports that their people are stopped paying. They're not paying on their burritos anymore, and it's led to big problems between them. Having massive $100 million in losses, as well as just problems with people just not paying. So they have net loss has gone up from 47 million last year to 99 million this year for Q1. And then their credit losses from 117 million to 136 million, meaning people are not paying. They are starting to not pay more and more. The number is getting bigger. And this is always going to be something where the problem or their solution to some problem is like it was always a issue that there might actually be bigger problems here. If people have to use Klarna and Afterpay and all these buy now pay later services, it probably means that the economy is not doing great, the economic situation is not great if people are putting DoorDash orders or grocery bills on buy now pay later stuff. And some of these reactions, like people saying these are all subprime loans and there is no collateral, and what are they going to do? Repossess the Gucci perfume you sprayed all over yourself and never paid for. There's nothing backing these loans. You can't get back the food someone already ate and has a loan on. You can't get back the perfume someone already used and has a loan on. So it's not like the housing market crash and stuff where it's nowhere near that level, right? This is like hundreds of millions of dollars in one company. Maybe it gets to billions or something, or it gets to a large number. But is it systemically a problem? Maybe at some point. But right now, it's probably growing to that point. But like at least with housing, when that crisis happened, you have houses to repossess. And there was such a big crisis, it crashed the entire market and stuff, bigger problems, right? But there's something to repossess. With a car loan, you can repossess the car to recover some of your funds. There is nothing to repossess here. You are not going to be able to get any amount of your money back if someone just decides not to pay you. They have a whole thing here talking about, their losses widen and more consumers fail to repay the loans. But I don't think that this is such a big problem. Like people look at this like, oh my God, this is insane and it's terrible. It's going to be another GFC. Like maybe at some point, right? Because I don't think putting things on buy now, pay later, especially food or groceries, is not a good indicator. It's not showing strength in an economy in anything. It shows big problems, right? But the amount of money and stuff isn't like crazy where it might be a systemic problem. But it might get there, right? But focusing in on just Klarna as like their business, saying they've focused on growing aggressively in the U.S. and you can use Klarna with DoorDash, Walmart, and eBay, and then they closely monitor changes in the macro environment to remain well positioned to adapt swiftly if required. And I don't think that that's true. They're not going to be adapting swiftly if they have to. If people stop paying, it becomes such a problem, they're losing so much money. There's nothing to adapt to, right? You can't go repossess the burrito they already ate. You don't have anything to repossess. So if you have a bunch of these loans on your books and people just decide we're not paying them, don't have the money, I don't know what the next step. I don't know what adapt swiftly if required means. Because you can't. There's nothing to adapt to. You don't have anything to go repossess. But these numbers too kind of hone in on why it's not such a massive issue, at least right now. Maybe if you take the collective of all these buy now, pay later things and put them all together, then it might become like a bigger issue and a bigger number and systemic at that point. But for Klarna, at least, you look at them, their credit loss rate as a percentage of its total volumes remains relatively low at 0.54%, up from 0.51% a year ago. So not even a percent, a little over 0.5%, not like crazy numbers for them. The majority of people are still paying their stuff off or making their payments. So even though like the 130 something million dollars they lost, what is here, $136 million they lost is big money. It shows a problem that people are stopped making payments, because what basically happens in an economy when the economy is good is everyone's making their payments. Everything's good. When stuff starts to go bad and people have to tighten up their budget and tighten up on money, they stop paying things that they don't need, right? So paying off your Klarna loan becomes a non-necessity compared to paying for your rent or paying for your mortgage or paying your utility bills. Like, those things take precedent, and if you have no money left over to pay your Klarna bill, then you say, oh well, it doesn't get paid. And so that's what they're going to deal with. But from these numbers, it doesn't seem like it's such a massive problem. Like, people are reporting this, talking about it, saying how it's so insane. It is insane. You collectively put them together, they probably become a much bigger problem, and it's more of like an issue that looks out into the future, where people using Klarna and using these buy now pay later things, it kind of shows what we might be going into a big problem. It might not be quite here yet, but putting groceries on buy now pay later is not a good sign, and that could point to this, with them having almost 100 million active customers, and what, $700 million is their revenues for them. So people are using it, it's getting more popular, but like, is it such a massive issue yet? Probably not. Might be growing there though. 100 million users is a lot. But some of the memes that came out of this is hilarious too. Like, people reporting their users missed payments. 100 million now on missed payments. And you got like the Big Short here. They're called synthetic debt bundles of gym memberships and burritos, and they're awesome. This is like the scene there where they're selling these subprime loans or mortgages, or people can't afford the house, but they don't care because they get their commission. But you just got to have like the similar thing here where it's like, yeah, we know these are people in desperate situations, and they probably aren't going to be able to afford to put everything on loans and burritos on loans, but like, right now it works. Right now it's great. We got a bunch of these though. Another one from like this Big Short. You find a bunch of burritos for people too lazy to walk to restaurants, and you are losing money on it. Who could have ever guessed that would happen? Who would have ever guessed that people who want to DoorDash their food might not be the most responsible people in the world, and you give them an option to DoorDash it and split the payment up and pretend like they can do it for less money? You might run into problems there. Yeah, the same thing here. Like, you got no intention of paying off your collateralized burrito obligations, do you? And this one, maybe one of the best here. Saying, sorry, man, but your last $1.37 Klarna payment has been delinquent for more than 90 days. And can you believe it? They're repossessing the burrito. You got a couple bites out of it, but it's been 90 days. They got to take it back. They got to take it back to Chipotle. You're not allowed to not make your payments. But yeah, the Klarna numbers are not great, right? They're not great indicators for what the future might be looking like for consumers and people just trying to pay their bills. But Klarna itself, the numbers don't look like insane. Like, they're at 0.5%, whatever, a little over 0.5% for people who aren't paying. Their losses are not that massive compared to their revenues, and then all the things going on there. So it does seem like it might be being blown out of proportion right now, but it could very, very easily be something to have a massive problem in the future, because these loans are not good loans. If you are putting your burrito on finance, chances are you probably can't afford it, and you shouldn't be doing that. And the people that are probably the ones who shouldn't be involved in this kind of scheme anyways. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.